completely different. It sounds way better. This is awesome.
What's up guys, it's Eric from B-Sonic. Today we have here another 2024 Toyota Tacoma. We're going to be installing our plug-and-play Encore Alpha amplifier. What you see in my hand, it also has a plug-and-play harness that comes with a kit, so it makes it a very easy install on this vehicle. We recently did another 2024 Tacoma a few days ago, and we got another one in here. We're super excited to install in our second Toyota Tacoma. So it's not wasting time. Let's get in the car and let's get this installed. All right guys, we're now in the car. Let's go ahead and get this started. Before we do so, let me show you the tools we're going to be using. So we get a panel removal tool. Make sure you're using a plastic one like this. Don't use a metal one to prevent scratching your interior. And we're also going to use a 10mm socket with a extension and a ratchet. We also have power tool. We're probably not going to use it. And also an 8mm socket with a small ratchet. And this is to ground our cable. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get behind here. You'll find that there's this little plastic panel piece. Just use your plastic pry tool. I'm gonna slip it down here. I'm gonna pry this piece up. Okay, there it is. Before you pull up, you wanna make sure you get pretty deep in there, just so you grab it, and then you pull it up. Don't pry it up from the center because you might just end up just nicking this plastic piece. All right, once you get that piece out, you'll notice that there's 4 10mm bolts. We're gonna go ahead and remove those. All right, now that we removed the 4 10mm bolts, all we have to do is pull this back. Okay, release the clips. All right, when you pull this, just note that there are really sharp brackets that's holding the radio behind it, so be very careful not to scratch your interior. You can also mask off these areas with some masking tape if you'd wish, or just be extra careful that you don't scratch or damage anything. Okay, and for the Tacomas, we like to just remove all the connectors. Okay, so if you notice the back of the radio, we went through this on the other video as well. All the connectors are occupied except for this over here. So when you're reconnecting all the factory connectors back, just make sure all the connectors are occupied except for this one right here. Okay, just gonna remove them. And another thing to note is these two connectors, actually, you could fit this one here and this one there. Make sure you do not do that, because if you do that, you can possibly damage your radio or the car. So be very careful with that. So just remember that this white connector on the left side stays to the left and the gray connector stays on the right. In our harness, when you're installing it, our harness connects to the gray one and the black one here, these two, okay? Make sure you don't get mixed up with that. You want to only connect here. And when you're handling these connectors, always push down on the release tab and pull on the connector. Do not pull on the wires or the cables. There's one more back here. Okay. All right, and when you're handling this screen, just note that it's very front heavy, so be very careful when you're handling this, and just note this surface could be a little bit slippery too, so just be very careful that doesn't slip off your hands when you're dealing with this. Okay, here's our harness here. Let's first connect our speaker harness or speaker connectors. There's only one connector that fits this, which is this one here. It's the black one. The other side will connect to the radio when we reinstall the radio. And let's also grab this one here. This one will connect to this gray connector, gray and white. Like so. And this side will connect back to the radio right next to this black connector. These two will connect right next to each other. Don't get mixed up with this connector here. Don't swap it, okay? This stays onto the left, and this will connect to the right. All right, and what is left is this ground terminal, which will connect to the side of the radio. And then we just need to connect our amplifier to this and tuck them in the back side to the right. There's some room over there. So let me connect these. Okay. All right, and We already know the setting for this because we configured it on our previous Tacoma that we worked on a few days ago. So the rear will stay at 12 o'clock. That is the default. And then the front will go to about 3 o'clock. We could do about 2 to 3 o'clock. So let me turn it down a little bit. So we're gonna do about 2 o'clock for the fronts. Okay, so in that we found that that is the optimal setting for this 2024 Tacoma with factory JBL. All right, so before we tuck it in, let me insulate this with some foam tape. This also comes with the kit. All right, now let's go ahead and fit it here. Behind here, we're gonna go to the right side, all the way back and right. All right, so we found a good place over here, just like the other car. It's right here, stand it up, and it's in there pretty good. It's not gonna move anywhere. And when you're mounting this, I also noticed there's 2 wires here. It's factory wires and cables. Be careful you don't damage this while you are trying to find a place for your amp. Okay, and we have some extra cabling here. Okay, we are going to tuck it in, just open space. And if you're installing a non-JBL model, you'll probably not have this. So it will most likely be easier just to mount it straight back behind the radio. You should have plenty of room if you have the non-JBL. And try to keep the cable straight so they don't get tangled up while you remount everything. Okay, cool, looks good. Let me grab my radio, touchscreen radio, and let me push everything back. The biggest focus while you're reconnecting everything is this connector from our harness. You'll find a little warning label here. Basically, it's telling you to make sure you connect to the right connector, which is going to be on the right side, and make sure to press in very firmly until you hear it click. If you don't hear it click, that means it did not connect in all the way. So you want to make sure it clips in. That means that it's connected in all the way. Otherwise, you will get some errors on your screen or even on your factory cluster. So take special note of that. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna start off with the connector that needs special attention. Like that, it needs to clip in like that. And this is our second connector from our kit. Okay. And we have this ground wire. We will connect this later after everything else is connected. All right, terrific. And I'm gonna take this paper off. Okay, everything looks good. Let me carefully tuck everything back in. Go ahead and keep this, the ground wire here to the side. Okay, I'm gonna pull this out just enough so we could reach. Okay, you don't need to remove the whole thing, just enough for you to fit this terminal. Okay. All right. Okay, there we go. Let me go ahead and test to make sure there is sound. All right, looks like everything's working. So let me go ahead and put all the 410mm back and then put that panel back in place, and that will complete our installation. Perfect. All right, cool. Everything's installed. Now let's check out the after. All right, guys, I hope you heard the difference. I know it's gonna be a bit difficult depending on what speakers and what device you're listening to it on, but I gotta tell you, there's a huge difference, man. I am so impressed with the difference it makes. I am positive that you will too. So if you're on the fence, you want something more from your factory sound system, whether you have JBL or not, look no further, give us a try, and I guarantee you'll be very, very satisfied. Thanks guys again for watching. If you haven't yet, help us by subscribing and liking our channel, and look forward to the next videos. Thank you very much for watching.
Completely different. It sounds way better. Like I feel like I'm not even turning it up that loud, but it just completely, everything sounds more crisp and loud. Oh, yeah. This is awesome. I can't wait to try it out on the trails.